futuristic. I love it.
The iMac.
The I stood for the internet, and it was built for an internet-focused future in mind.
This name suddenly appeared, Imagineering.
Imagineers are the dreamers, the designers of Disney theme parks.
Imagineer can be anything sleek.
New seasons of two popular History Channel shows are underway. How Disney Built America looks at Walt Disney and the history-making empire he built with his brother Roy. And the mega brands that built America looks at the origin stories behind some of the world's biggest brands, from Apple to Sony.
Natalia Melman-Petrozella is 20th century historian featured in both shows, and she joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Disney created Disney World and Disneyland, that Main Street, like the turn of the century when he grew up, and yet it hasn't been dated. Like, it still speaks to us today. Why is that?
Nostalgia is a very powerful thing, I think. And so when Disney built Main Street based on his own small town childhood experience, I think that we still have the nostalgia for that. And also, Disney is really good at updating kind of old concepts for a modern audience. So it has that perfect mix of kind of modernization and also nostalgia. So I'd say that's probably why it's still so popular.
And Disney is so tied to America. What has the influence of Disney been in other countries? Do they look at it as cheesy in other countries? And what has the influence been?
Well, I can't speak for the rest of the world, I'll say, or even for all of America, but I would say that Disney definitely has kind of defined an idea of American fun that has been exported all over the world. And if you look at the numbers of Disney, you can see that Disney movies, Disney theme parks are very popular in other parts of the world. And, having been to Disney in France, you can see that it has its own kind of French imprint on that, while being unapologetically kind of an American export.
Talk about the origin of Mickey and why he is the symbol. When you look back at his cartoons, he's really not that funny, or not that pivotal, and yet he gets the top billing. Why is that?
Yeah, so a lot of thought went into Mickey, including his name. That Walt's wife, Lillian, told him, you can't name him Mortimer, as was planned, because it was like old man and stuffy. And so he has kind of this childlike appeal, I think, in his simplicity that has made him last for so long, and also been, appealing both to kids and to adults. So, it was not a foregone conclusion that he would be the most popular. And, throughout history, Donald Duck has been more popular at certain moments. I think Disney's appeal has to do with that kind of eternal childlike appeal that he has to both adults and kids.
There's also this show, this Mega Brands That Built America. You go through a lot of them, but just to touch on, I was curious, we all think of the smartphone associated with Apple, but you forget there was this whole cell phone battle in America going on between a whole bunch of different brands before the smartphone.
Yeah, that was one of the most interesting episodes to shoot and to research for, actually, looking at the way that mobile phone technology was really a completely new concept for Americans, and also not one that people thought would succeed outside of the business marketplace. So early on, first of all, cell phones were very, very heavy. They were car phones first, but then also there was this experiment where Nokia in particular started making kind of candy colored exteriors to their phones. Other brands added games, and they saw that people actually like to use these for fun. And they realized that they had a whole consumer marketplace that wasn't just people trying to, tune into like urgent meetings or catch up with their work. And that not only changed, of course, the workplace, but how we interact with one another. So that was really interesting.
And talk about the credit card and where that came from.
Yeah, so the credit card comes to be in the 1950s. And one of the things that I found fascinating there is that it really is the result of the end of a kind of face-to-face economy. So people used to go into their local shop and they'd say, hey, can you front me, some meat or whatever that I need for dinner, or I'll pay my tab at the end of the month. Now, as our communities became more broadly, more far-flung, that kind of face-to-face interaction ceased to really exist. And people needed credit still, but they needed a kind of more official way to get and to extend that credit. So enter credit card technology.
And just to wrap it up, out of all the, mega brands that you profile, what's one of the more surprising origin stories you stumbled upon?
Okay, my favorite as a historian of fitness is probably Nike. So the Nike waffle sole, which is still with us today, came out of Bill Bowerman experimenting with a waffle iron and putting rubber in there. So that is not how we usually think of our sneakers and where they came from, but that is the start.
Well, you can watch How Disney Built America and the mega brands that built America Sunday nights on the History Channel. You can follow Natalia on social media. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good day.